Any questions? Yes?
Of course I do, right? So I have a question that you don't have a separate system for your financial system and your land management system. It's all integrated into one. The accounting functions are being done in the land management system then instead of having two separate systems.
So we have a statewide accounting program.
Right.
SABRS is the acronym. So this is essentially used to reconcile against that.
Subsidiary system that is the retail world.
So the TLMS system is a subsidiary system. And then April here will do a distribution once a month. And that will then tell us how to do the general ledger journal to record everything in the accounting system. So
Can Sitka manage an accounting system though? I mean, can you guys build a basic accounting system then? Because we need both.
I think I might appreciate the questions. So we've merged our internal agency accounting system for the trust lands division with this system. So that's one system.
Okay.
The larger statewide accounting system though has to be reconciled back to this. But for the trust land management division, all of our business functions, all of the, sort of accounting that we need to do at a program level is all captured here first. Yeah, on the revenue side.
We don't use the statewide accounting system though in our state. And
That
so
would
we
be
need
so awesome.
Yeah. We need an accounting system built for us. And so that's why I asked that question. If your product is capable then of kind of the basic accounting functions that typically would sit in a state system.
No, and Matt, this is truly for revenue. I mean, not that we're talking about somehow incorporating expenses, but this truly is to track the revenues. So on budgets and our expenses.
But it's more, I'm asking Sitka though,
Okay.
if they can build it.
Yeah, I mean, it really does just come down to understanding the requirements and building the system and deciding what is the most cost-effective way forward. Whether, I think traditional finance, accounting systems, there's a broader suite of commercial off-the-shelf products out there. So you really want to understand whether building a custom accounting system and integrating it into your trust lands management system is the right investment versus managing the trust lands piece and integrating with something like we're doing with SABRS for the state of Montana or another off-the-shelf product. So
Do
certainly.
you already have the interfaces built for other, like,
No, we don't have something like that pre-built. That's something that we would need to work with you or whichever vendor you were working with or internally would need to do an evaluation and determine what are the options out there and what are the types of integrations, and then you could come up with some cost estimates for those integration options. If it were chosen that a custom complete build of an accounting system integrated into the trust system was the right alternative, certainly Sitka or any number of vendors out there would be able to construct a system like that for you. But I appreciate the opportunity.
I think this tech stack is fully capable of that. We're just trying to define those sideboards to decide when and where to go down which path. Any question?
With all the bureaus and divisions you have in DNRC utilizing this system, how much thought have you put into long-term change management, oversight committee, that kind of, what's your governance or guidance committee looking like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, Sean or Craig, if you have any thoughts. I guess what I would start with is that, we're continuously dealing with succession. And so I'm actually pulling back as the project team lead, and Brett, who's in the third to last row, is going to be taking over that role. And so we have, with a long multi-year project, I think that this thing, the trick is to understand, when to say when, because it could easily turn into a 5 or 6 year project with this trail of dollars, going into it. And so I think in terms of governance, we're working very closely with our IT shop, and we've got representation in a number of different capacities that sort of provide oversight and sort of it's not formal, but it's sort of a think tank on how to vision this thing and where to kind of create these sideboards and move it forward. And so it's a great question, and I don't think we have a solid answer at this point, but as we proceed through this, it's definitely something that's on our minds. And so I don't know if either of you want to add anything to that.
One more question.
I noticed that you guys did an RFI process.
Yes.
Yes. So did you do an RFP then?
Yeah, and so we did a full competitive RFP process, and
Did you get a lot of
Responses.
yeah, what did we get, Ray? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I mean, it was less than 10, but more than 2. And so, but if anybody's interested, I've got some cards with me. Welcome to reach out. I can get you the RFP documentation if you're interested in taking a look at that and understanding sort of how that marries up with the white paper that Westwood put together. But it was, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you really have to find truly a partner in conducting this, because there's a lot of companies out there that I think will, you'll get to an end product. Is it what you want? It's kind of a 50-50 shot. So how do you make it more predictable? How do you control that situation, and how do you make it fit? And so for us, it was shopping around for a good company. For us, doing the data diagnostic and the business analysis was a foot in the door with Sitka to allow us to kind of understand sort of their workflows, their relationships, their personalities, and I think it was something that fostered sort of this path forward. And so, but we also, we have our escape clause, and so if there's a point where we felt we were needing to part ways, I think we reserved that right. But as we moved into phase 2, we're still moving forward with Sitka. I think we're at a really good place. So.
And I'll just note, there was actually two RFPs that we responded to initially for the data analysis phase, and then a second RFP for implementation. And it wasn't taken for granted that we would be the party who were chosen to actually implement the system. We're happy that we were, but it was an open and competitive process at every step in the way.
Good point. I mean, we kicked around folding those together, but opted to keep them separate. You have a question?
Actually have multiple questions, so if you don't get to them all, that's all right. So my question is, I wonder if you had given any thought or consideration to maybe an applicant portal, a way for applicants to have their own way to submit applications, submit their application fees, maybe submit their annual fees, and just do that through the convenience of an online system. That's my first question. And then it's a little bit frustrating, but we're not able to do certain things on behalf of our applicants, our customers, like accommodate partial payments, accommodate credit for overpayments. We don't accept credit cards. We can't provide paperless billing. Are these things that you're also constrained with, and have you thought about maybe some technological solutions to these?
Yeah, so the answer is yes to all of those. I would say that some of those, I think we've got some short-term turnarounds, some short-term success, other things we're working through. Because there's things there's limitations within our state infrastructure that are hurdles, and of course working with our IT shop and understanding, where some of those pieces of parts fall. It might take a year or two to kind of preload that and get us to that point, but everything you said has been part of our current and ongoing conversation around this needs that we want to address.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment briefly on the way we've designed this is the program today needs a system to help manage their lands today. But we recognize that in reality, looking to the future and where technology is headed, that the system needs to be able to utilize things like business intelligence to help them make better decisions for tomorrow. And how do they maximize the revenues on those lands in a way that's still sustainable, but still gets the best value for the schools as possible. And so the way we designed the system is such that today we are constrained by those things, but we certainly have a vision to get those things in place in tomorrow. And with a phased approach and a more modular approach, it allows us to start plugging those things in as the business program is ready to implement those things. So today, some of that business intelligence they're not ready for, but we have an eye on that. And so we're designing this application in a containerized approach so it can be easily flexible for different people. It can live on Amazon's cloud, it can live on Microsoft's Azure cloud, it can be on-prem in an environment such that other states then could add to it and design it the way they need for their system and such. So it's a pretty agnostic in that sense platform with the goal of trying to make sure that we're meeting tomorrow's needs and not just today's functionality. So
it's after noon, and I know that 12:15 we're loading on the buses. So I'm going to be on the tour, so if you have other questions, want to talk about it, find a seat next to me. I think both of you be around for a little bit, kind of like first
Yeah,
phase. and
we're
then
going to
kick
be
off.
joining the crew for lunch here and looking forward to talking in more detail and answering any questions.
While we break down, I'll just put a little stack of cards here if you want to grab one, if you want to contact me directly after the program down the road. Happy to do that. So thanks for your attention, and on to the...
Thanks, Dan, and thanks to the Sitka folks. They've been good partners so far. We hope that we're able to continue making success in this arena. I would just wrap up from my perspective as the administrator for the division. You know, I was kind of around when the first system was rolling out, and we did this thing where we crammed something through. We did the 1 year or whatever, 2 year time frame. We didn't really have what we wanted. We had to spend more money, and you know, it was one of those deals that we've learned a lot of lessons from, and I think we're improving on that with this approach. It's going to take a little longer. It's going to be somewhat painful to bridge these two systems for staff over the course of a few years, but I think we're going to end up with a much better product, and we're really happy with what we see so far. So I would encourage y'all to look at it. For us, we just don't have the capability for all of these different programs who all have their regular day job to now spend a whole year working on this thing. It's just too disruptive. So this is the approach. It's still really disruptive. You know, don't get me wrong. The folks that are doing this have to find time and make things happen. We don't have staff that we can dedicate just to this effort. So happy to visit with folks about where we're at with this if you want to know. I've been saying for years, Tom Schultz and I had a conversation about this quite a few years ago. We're all kind of doing the same thing ultimately. We do it a little differently here and there, but if there's a way to build something we can share, we really need to look at being able to do that. So